Hi, hello, good morning. Oh my goodness, I filmed this video once and then realized I'd done the whole thing in slow motion. That was great. Anyway, we're gonna do this again. So hi, hello, good morning. Long time no see. I have been stuck in this horrific health episode. I'm chronically ill, if you didn't know, and just my health has been so bad. I really just had no capacity to do anything beyond survive. So that's why there have been no videos, and I'm sorry for the lapse in content. Like I said, I didn't have the, I couldn't do it. So anyway, that's why we are here very belatedly to talk about all the books that I read in July. So let's get into it. So to start, I finished One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. I read this on my Kobo. It's about this photographer named Alice, and she returns to this cottage where she spent a summer as a teenager. She's kind of feeling stuck in her life, especially in her career, and she is kind of chasing this feeling that she had as a teenager, especially when she took this particular photo that she took at the cottage, which is kind of her magnum opus to date. And she meets this guy named Charlie who seems like a total playboy, just a jokester and arrogant and all of that good stuff. But of course, as they get to know each other, she realizes that there's more to him than meets the eye, and they start a summer fling, or what is meant to just be a summer fling, but of course turns into something more. I did admittedly read this one before Every Summer After because I didn't realize they were connected, and that One Golden Summer was the second of the two, but it didn't impact my enjoyment of the book. And I've said this before, but I really enjoy the way Carly Fortune writes dual timelines. I find them really concise. I find them really relevant. I find them really easy to follow. And I really enjoy Fortune's books overall because, yes, they're formulaic, but not in a way that feels boring. Next, I read In 5 Years by Rebecca Serrell. This is my second Serrell book after Expiration Dates, which I read a while ago, and I loved that book so much. Oh my goodness, I loved that book. And this one has a similar element of magical realism. It's about this woman who dreams of this man and this one night they have together. And then 5 years later, she meets the man from her dreams. And I don't think I can say anything else without spoiling it, but this book gutted me. Oh my goodness, I don't cry a lot at books. I mean, I'll tear up, I'll shed a tear, but I won't bawl at books, but this one made me bawl. And just if you know, you know. 5 stars. Okay, next I finally read both Caraval and Legendary by Stephanie Garber. I read these on audiobook, and I think that the narration was really good, and it actually really helped me get through these books because these were not it for me. I rated these 3 and 3.25 stars respectively. I really just struggled to find good things about these books, and I will probably do a full review of these, and if not, I'll do a kind of full, more in-depth explanation of why I didn't love these when I talk about the last book, which I have actually finished in this month of August. So we'll talk more about those later, but 3 and 3.25 stars for these two. After that, I finished Bromantasy by Mary Roche. This is a cozy fantasy about 2 best friends, 2 roommates, who accidentally sign up to go on a quest to fight a dragon, as one does. And it's very much marketed as being the most scary monster that they're going to fight in this entire journey is heteronormativity. So it was really cute, and it was just ridiculous. There were moments where I was like, what is happening? But in the best way. There's this one character whose name is Steven for short. And I read this bit when I was on the bus, and I was just like, this is so unserious. and I really liked it. This was a 4-star read for me. Okay, so then as I previously mentioned, I also read Every Summer After. I got a hard copy of this one. This follows Percy and, what's his name, Sam? Sam. This follows Percy and Sam and their love story. They were side characters in One Golden Summer, so I knew them a bit from that. And One Golden Summer kind of hints at the fact that Percy and Sam had like a long road to get to where they were in One Golden Summer. So that really actually piqued my interest for reading their story. I don't always love will they, won't they type situations. I mean, this is one of those ones where, like, you know, they were best friends, they even got together, and then everything fell apart, and we have, like, both the timeline of them, like, how their relationship formed, and then the timeline of how they're gonna mend their relationship in the present. So yeah, I don't always love, like, will they, won't they situations, which this one is a little bit of, but this actually felt quite natural, and for lack of a better way to put it, not annoying. This is another book that actually made me bawl. Like, I don't know what it was about it. It killed me. The ending killed me. And admittedly, knowing what happened in One Golden Summer did kind of spoil the surprise of the end for me a little bit, of the climax for me. But I honestly am not bothered by that. That doesn't really factor into my rating because I like spoilers, because I like knowing what to expect, and I don't care. I don't care. So yeah, this was another 5-star read for me. I also read Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. This is like a gothic horror novel. I read this on audio from the library. I found this a little slow to get going, but I think that was like a me problem because anytime there's a book that has like a little bit of mystery to it, it takes me a while to actually get hooked in by that mystery. So I don't judge it based off that. I judge it based off the fact that I finished this and I could not stop thinking about it for like days. I thought about this book, and once I did get into it, I just like binge read it. I couldn't put it down. It was so intriguing to me, and there's like this tiny bit of an element of that like phenomenon where like you see a car crash and you can't look away because it's just like so shocking. This book had like a little bit of that for me. It's basically about this woman who shows up at this estate, and she is very withdrawn, she's very fragile, she's very weak, but then it turns out she really comes alive at night. She wanders the estate, she wanders the moors, she really just is so different night and day. And since she has come to town, the village girls all start falling victim to this strange hunger. And there are themes of female repression and what does it mean to really want things? What does it mean to really hunger for things, you could say. And yeah, in the end, I just found it so compelling. And this was also a very easy 5-star read. And probably the easiest 5 stars actually since I read The Poet Empress. We're nearing the end. I read Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. This is about the daughter of a pirate king, and it was okay. It was okay. I enjoyed it. I liked it. It was fine. It's about this girl who is, again, the daughter of a pirate king, and she basically gets herself captured intentionally by the enemy to facilitate her quest for this piece of an ancient map. And again, I liked it okay, but I did find the characters fairly stereotypical of romantasy and really quite one-dimensional, especially the FMC. Like, she was really like, she's like a tough as nails, scrappy, hyper independent and capable type. And that kind of is all And that kind of was the only characteristic that she had. And there was like a little bit of an attempt to give her different shades. Like, she has like a soft spot for these particular members of her crew, or like whatever it was. Or like she kind of developed a soft spot for these members of the crew on the enemy ship. But for the most part, she was very one note. And like I despised the ending. I despised the climax. I thought it was so, I don't know, like she needs the MMC to rescue her. And I just thought, like, after all that, where she doesn't need help with anything ever, and then when it matters, she can't get herself out of this situation, and she needs like the man to come in. And I would have much preferred if there had been any other intervention, like if her all-female crew had shown up and they had like rescued her instead, like literally anything. I would have preferred anything. Anyway, 3 stars for this one, and I will read the rest of the trilogy, but I'm not like chomping at the bit to get to them. Okay, next I read Fever Dream by Elsie Silver. I believe this is Silver's latest release. It's about this guy whose grandparents' ranch desperately needs money, and he agrees to have this reality dating show a la Love Island kind of like filmed at his ranch, and he is the eligible bachelor in question. He has a small history with one of the assistants who's working on this show, and they kind of strike up a fling, although it's very much forbidden because he's on this reality dating show with all these women. This is kind of like a spin-off of Reckless from the Chestnut Spring series, but like with any of these kind of like interconnected standalones or interconnected series. Like, you don't have to read Reckless or the Chestnut Spring series to enjoy this one. It's just that like you'll recognize some of the characters, some of the side characters, as being the main characters in Reckless. I found the premise really enjoyable, actually. I wasn't sure how I'd feel about it, but I actually did really like it. I just am not like, I'm not a reality show person. I'm not like a dating show person. I just don't really like any of that stuff. So wasn't sure how I'd feel about it. Really liked it. And especially like the dual narration on the audiobook. So this one was 4 stars. Okay, the last book that I read in the month of July was Field Guide for the Formerly Villainous by Autumn K. England. This is another audiobook I read, and it's cozy fantasy, and the idea is so fun. It's basically about this person, and we love the non-binary representation, so I will give it that. It's about this person who was previously part of a magical cult, and they get out of this cult, or rather, this cult is finally like broken apart, and they move to this small town where they're hoping to start over. But their past really haunts them. They swear that they'll never use their magic ever again, because it caused so much harm to so many people in the past. They're really quite afraid of their magic. They have raging PTSD, which, understandable. But through their work on the farm, through the help of their experiences with the townspeople, they really make a lot of progress with their healing. And I mean, like that all sounds really great. The execution left something to be desired. The townsfolk were all kind of interchangeable. They were nice. They were all just nice. But none of them like really had any distinct personality or traits or anything. There was a little bit of romance, which I don't think added anything. I was not invested in this romantic pairing at all. And the main character, they really lacked any personality beyond their PTSD. And granted, they do have amnesia for like anything that happened before they were in the cult, and even some of their memories of being in the cult are like a little bit fuzzy. So they don't have like a lot else going for them at the beginning because they don't even know who they are. But even as they remember bits of their life before the cult, I really just found that those bits of history, those facts that they remembered, still didn't really give us any insight as to who they were, like what their personality was like, what they liked, what they disliked, their values, like anything. Like it really didn't like showcase who they were. Anyway, I thought about DNFing this book like 60% through because I was just like, this is not it, and it's not getting better. But I had sunk cost fallacy, so I kept reading it, and was it worth it? The jury's out on that one. But I rated it 3 stars, and hearing myself talk about it now, though, I am thinking it's more of a 2.5-star read. I mean, like, I didn't despise it. It wasn't like an instant, like, I need to DNF this, because it's bad, and it's not getting better. It's just not my cup of tea. It was my cup of tea. It just wasn't very good, in my opinion. And that is it. That is it for books I read in July. I actually read more than I thought I was going to read because I started the month kind of in a slump. But you know what? Audiobooks really came through for me. I find it's so much easier to focus sometimes in audiobooks. Because I can do things with my hands, I can do chores, I can commute. Whereas like I find if I'm gonna read a book in print, like I really have to like sit down to read. Whereas audiobooks I can listen to in like bits and pieces. So anyway, audiobooks really saved the day on that one. And I'm gonna try to get another video out next week. And that's basically it. Tell me what you read in July, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.